Okay, so yeah, there are two pictures of both of us, and the audio is going out.
Okay.
Just let me check how it looks like. And then we'll begin. Yep, we are live. That's good. So I close that window and so not to be confused.
Oh, I see Kuba and Jason.
Ah, yeah. More and more people are appearing. That's cool.
Oh, okay. Now I can see the 1 second delay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Recently, on our last webcast, we had 15 seconds delay between Twitter Spaces and the live session, so it was a little weird. Hope it's better today. All right, so yeah, let's get started. First of all, I'm so happy to have you here after all these months again. We saw each other in October 21, so it's quite a long time, 10 months ago, that we've seen each other. For people out there on the Twitch and on the Twitter Spaces, my name is Matthias Bohlen. I founded 12.it, or 12it for short. It's a question and answer site, a totally new thing. I think I'm working 5 weeks or so on it. And I thought it would be an amazing idea to invite creators who do something interesting to have a question and answer thing live and online. So this is a perfect match for 12. So I'm so happy that Kevon, you're here today. Kevon Cheung from Hong Kong. He's the Build in Public guy, the Public Lab founder, and I think you'll talk more about this soon. So good morning, afternoon, or good evening to you, depending on where you are in the world.
Right. Well, usually I keep my introduction short, but Matthias, thank you so much for bringing me here. I mean, I kind of know you since my early days of the journey getting online, so it's always nice to catch up and then share the new things that we're doing. My quick intro would be I started my journey online end of 2020, and a lot of people know me as the Building Public guy, but I want to give everyone like a quick snapshot of how that happened. Basically, when I started, I had no niche. I don't know what to talk about. I had no network on the online space. I had no followers, but I decided to start writing, and at first I didn't know what to write, but when I stumbled upon the concept Building Public, I was like, oh my god, this is intriguing. It is kind of who I am, like being helpful, being honest, being transparent, and I think I can talk about it for at least 20 years. So that was the first moment. But the real moment was that I was testing it out, like, can I write in public the Building Public guide? And I spent 2 months on it, just 10,000 words. It's not that much, but I'm new to writing and I'm new to the whole concept of building in public. So when I launched it, 2,000 people read it in the first 3 days, and then I became the Building Public guy. So, and then I just kind of follow the breadcrumbs to kind of serve people, like what they need help with. I would just show them, guide them, and teach them. So that brings me to where I am today.
Interesting. So it all started with a kind of a document, right? The guide where the people could look at, could download, or see it live on screen. Yeah.
So I purposely made it just web pages, public. So you know how people would put it behind like a email address wall, so you have to put in your email to get it. I didn't do it because my whole idea was I am new online. People should, like, I want people to know me. Why put a wall and collect emails? I just give it out for free. Everyone can access the link. And apparently that worked out.
Cool. That's great. Yeah, today we'll bounce off some questions back and forth. I think we'll start with some basic questions because
Okay.
recently I saw some posts or some tweets from you that said content marketing versus showing your work, the build in public idea, showing your work versus content marketing. Which one is better? Which one is more stronger with the impact? And also, on the other hand, which one feels heavier for the creator? And that really resonated with me because I find that content marketing is kind of hard. When I sit down and want to create, let's say, a lead magnet, let's say an ebook, a PDF file, or something that people can consume, it's always hard for me. And I thought about how to make all this easier. I tried to invent systems, but that didn't really work for me. I don't really know what to do. And then I saw your tweet and I thought, oh, that's a thing. So if you could introduce us a little bit into the world of this dichotomy between, or is it a dichotomy between those two? And later on, when we went through some basics, I think we'll open the microphone for the audience here on Twitter Spaces, and people can ask you questions live here, and people following on Twitch can see us and can see you answering those questions.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Sure. Yeah. So that was a good question, because why did I come up with this thing about showing your work is better than content marketing? It is mostly because I love to ask the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have a course, so people get in, they need to fill in the onboarding survey, and I talk to a lot of people. Like, I don't know if some of you might have DM me or email me. I make sure I reply. If not right away, it's always like within the week or maybe 2 weeks if I'm really busy, but I always get back to people. So the reason why I did this is because like a lot of people tell me, Kevon, I of course I know like to write content, like everyone is writing a ton of content, but there's this heavy lift in my mind that is blocking me. Like I cannot just come up to my computer and write something.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I started thinking, why is that the case? And I think it's because our perception of content marketing. Like maybe I'll explain my version of content marketing. I think content marketing kind of includes everything written or video or audio, right? It's everything. But if you ask me to kind of show you one piece of content, I always would say it's a blog post or it's a video that is more like listicle. Like the topic is a question, and then you have a whole blog post to explain how to overcome that problem, right? That to me is what content marketing seems to be. And I think a lot of this is created by professional content marketers who has a full-time job in it. So they're really good at it.
Right.
But then when I step back and I look at who are asking this question, like heavy lifting, it is all indie hackers, solopreneurs, and creators. There's a common thing among these people, which is we're all very busy. We're all very busy creating our products and serving our audience. Who has time to write that kind of blog post? So I know I kind of found out why people struggle with that. So this is why I believe like for this group of people, maybe the whole umbrella of content marketing should not be your focus. Maybe you should focus on showing your work, which to me is more like documenting what you're working on. For example, we're doing this call, like I could post about it and maybe highlight one key point. This is what it means to show your work, which is easier because guess what? It takes me like 10 seconds to post a picture of this and to add a few lines. So this is why I think more people should do showing your work.
So if I understand you correctly, the main difference is the amount of work to do and the amount of preparation needed for content marketing or for showing your work.
I think just the first key point is definitely the amount of time to do, but there are so many more benefits. I think we can dig into that in a little bit.
Yeah. So what do you think? Why do people struggle so much with content marketing? For me, it's I have to sit down. I have to think about what the post should contain or what the podcast should contain, whatever I'm producing or doing. It feels like, yeah, structure, preparation, thinking. How does it feel to you? What do you think content marketing? Why do people struggle with that?
Well, I think, again, it comes back to you look around what everyone is doing and then you think that is what you're supposed to do. So, for example, like the people on Twitter space, I'm sure you're looking at your Twitter feed and then you see all this like amazing expert putting out threads and then like, here's the 8 things you do to blah, blah, blah. And then these threads, I don't know how, but like they get like 800 replies and like 5,000 likes. So normally when we all look at this, we're like, okay, this is the way to go. Like we should do this if we want to get more exposure. So I think it's the culture of the internet or social media that kind of force us to think that, oh, you should create this type of content. But to be honest, a lot of people say they enjoy my content. And honestly, like compared to a lot of people, I don't have a huge following. I have a big following, but not that huge. And if you look at my replies or likes, I'm not attracting hundreds of thousands of people. But each tweet, I attract maybe 10 to 20 people.
Okay.
And guess what? I get a lot from these 10 or 20 people. I have good conversations. I get to meet awesome people like you. And in the audience, I see like Maha, Kuba, Puja. I meet these people. So there are other ways, but we are drawn into this perception. So that's struggle number 1, which is really hard because you have to do it enough to overcome. But the other struggles I would say is not everyone is professional writer. So, you know, the process of writing is very hectic. Like I write these days by chopping it up into 4 steps. Ideation, outline, write, and edit. Because I'm a full-time creator, this is my job to write. But if people are running their own business and this is kind of a marketing strategy for them, of course they don't have like a full-blown process. So I think the process play a key as well.
Okay. So the first, let's say, stress or struggle comes from comparing yourself to professional content marketers, right? How they write, what structure their piece has, how are the headlines, how are the keywords, all this keyword search, research stuff. It's so complex, I think. And you compare yourself to them doing that job, but I think we all forget that that's their main job. That's doing what they are doing 8 or 6 hours a day. I don't know. And yeah.
Or they have a team to help them do that. They are just the one posting them. Yeah. You don't know that.
Exactly. So, okay, we should stop comparing ourselves to them. And we should also ask ourselves whether it's the right thing to do, content marketing, for an indie hacker or maker or creator.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think definitely, because this is such a good question, because if you're like solopreneur, you're all by yourself and you have a lot on your plate, you need to think what's the best strategy to get the most result. And I didn't really highlight this before, but showing your work has a lot of benefits to solopreneurs or people with a small team, limited resources. For example, there's such a big list, but I'll just pinpoint a few to talk about today. For example, if you read a piece of content written by Kevon, and Kevon tells you, hey, this is the 7 way to build in public. And it's pretty standard, you know, I answer all the questions.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you get to know the writer through that content? Not so much.
Depends, yeah.
Because
some people it works,
depends.
But mostly I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, mostly you don't. You don't have that connection with the writer. But let's say Kevon shows you my book cover and I ask for feedback. This time you're Matthias, you're like, oh, this cover, I don't get it. Kevon, you need a better cover. You're telling me this. That creates a conversation, a touch point.
Right.
And guess what? I didn't just show you my work and get your attention, but I built relationships with you. I get feedback from you. And I'm sure you have a bit more trust in me because I'm being honest about my work. So you can see like, oh my God, if you have limited time all by yourself, this actually is like one stone hitting like 4, 5, 6 birds at the same time. So this
Oh,
is why it's important to show your work.
I never thought about it that way. Creating relationships by showing your work. Yeah, it's not only showing what you do, but also entering into conversation with the public, getting feedback, getting DMs, for example, on Twitter, or whatever kind of interaction with people. Yes, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you another example. Like my book, Find Joy in Chaos, which, by the way, we're gonna do a lucky draw.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we will share the link. Maybe we can talk about it now. I think it's bit.ly slash, what is it? Slash what? Let me see. Oh, bit.ly slash joy draw. JOYDRAW.
Yeah.
So if you enter your info there, you might win the book. So I want to talk about the book because most people, for example, if they want to write a book, they would just, hey, I know everything about this topic. Let me write it. And then when they want to launch it, they're like, oh my God, no one is there to buy the book. Why is that? So
No
I
one is
took a different
prepared,
approach because they don't know about your book.
Yeah.
But for me, I took a different approach. I show my work for 10 months. So each snippet is getting people's attention to the book. So they are not ready to buy, but that's okay. But I get some beta readers to come in to give feedback to my book. And eventually when I launch, I have already like 400 people on the list. And they know the book because it has been 10 months. So imagine what happened at the launch. Maybe half of them can come in to help. And that's already 200 people.
Yeah.
So it is not an overnight success, but it is relationship, as you said, like through a long process.
That's a big difference. I feel like that's a big difference. You write for 10 months in private, say nothing, and then launch. Or alternatively, write in public, show every chapter or the initial outline or the cover or your progress. Say, yeah, I wrote so much or I wrote so little. I think it makes people really interested in what you do and what you're, and so they are prepared when you come out with when you launch the book. It's
Exactly.
yeah, the people are
And
prepared.
you don't, I was actually just writing my newsletter that's outgoing in an hour or so. Like, you don't even need to sell them because they have been watching you build it. They know you're not a scam.
Yeah.
Like you didn't just write the book overnight. And when you launch, you basically just need to say, hey, by the way, it's on Gumroad and Amazon. And that's it. You don't need to pitch them like, oh, this is the best book for Twitter.
Yeah.
No, you don't need to. So that's what I like because I'm not very salesy. Like I suck at sales.
Yeah,
So I
same
cannot
here.
convince people.
I know that.
So I rely on my work to speak for itself.
Yeah, and I got the same feeling. Selling is yeah, it's an art in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems as if showing your work also, in fact, saves you time at the end, right? Because it saves you the amount of selling, it saves you beating the drum, as I say. It's easier.
Totally. Like, for example, as I mentioned, if I talk about something I'm working on right now, it could be a screenshot with like a question to ask the people around you. Even if there are only 20 people around you, that's fine. And how long would that take? Maybe a minute to take a screenshot and write 2 lines. So it could be as easy as that, or it could be a bit more deep, which I call it like a retrospective. Like if you can summarize what you learned in the last 6 months, usually that build a lot of trust because you're kind of recapping a long process, and people really like to look at, oh my God, this is Matthias learning in 2022. I have to read it. Usually people's mind go like that when they see a retrospective like that. So it could vary the depth of the content, and no one is forcing you to write long posts all the time. It could, you know, mix and match a little bit here and there.
Okay, so how does show your work look in practice for people out there? let's say you have let's say for me, I'm building software. I'm building software systems that people can use on the web. What could I do to share my work regularly?
Yeah, good question. So, one thing I notice, because I teach my Building Public course 3 times a year, and I notice a lot of people coming in, it's not like they don't know how to show their work. It's more like they cannot put down their ego because, I'm building this SaaS about Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
I am supposed to know everything about it. That's what we are taught to be when we want to show up as a thought leader. But the thing about building in public is that you just need to put down that ego. And my top advice to people is that just be a dummy. Like, pretend you know nothing and just be really curious about how other people think. For example, you might think I know a lot about building public, right?
Yeah.
But I'm actually in the middle of revamping my guide that I told you how I started all this.
Yeah.
So yesterday, I posted a tweet and asked people, I am upgrading my Building Public guide to 2022 version. How many of you are willing, not how many, I'm looking for 10 people to give me feedback so that I can improve the guide. And 40 people raised their hand, and I sent it to 10 people last night. And you know what? I get tons of feedback saying that there are some better ways I can present my concept. So there are a lot of things is not that good. So even someone like me that you think might be the expert of Building Public, I don't know everything. So this is why my top advice is like, just pretend to be a dummy and allow people to come in to help you. I think out of everything, I think this is the key.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that resonates with me. Yesterday, I had a real problem while coding on my system, and I posted at the end of the day, today was a failure. I spent 2 hours on doing this and that, and it is failed like this, failed like that. And suddenly, a friend of mine came back with a reply and said, yeah, try something different. Try this or try that. Did you think of this or did you think of that? And I thought, oh yeah, I didn't think it. So I tried it today, and yeah, it looks promising. So it really helped to share also your failures, not only the expert that you are or the brand new system you're building. So it's just yeah, good advice.
Yeah, I think a lot of people again get drawn into that. Hey, if you want to be a person with a huge following, you need to speak like an expert. I don't think there's any flaw in that statement, because at that point you do need to speak like an expert. Like if we're chatting right now and I'm like not confident about what I say, all these people in the audience, they would be like, Kevon, you don't know your shit. But the thing is, a lot of us are beginners in the early days.
Right.
You don't have enough people to listen to you, then there's no point to pretend to be that expert. It's much easier if you just pretend to be a dummy and allow people to help you. And when you grow to, I don't know, 10K followers, 20K, well, the follower count is not a benchmark of our success, but just for simplicity, I'll use that right now. Let's say you get to a certain stage of your presence or business. Yes, you do need to start showing your expert side, but definitely not the early days. Yeah.
So what kind of content could I share? For example, when I'm building software, my project is quite big, at least for one person. For a team, it wouldn't be. But so much to do, so much to explain potentially. So what could I share? For example, I saw that the UI, the user interface, is always interesting for people because that's the surface of the system. They can see that. Sometimes also looking behind the UI is interesting, like the database or something, but that's more technical. I think if I shared that, it would be interesting for other engineers, but not so much for my customers, for my audience. So I think it's really important to think about what kind of content should I share when I show my work.
Oh, Matthias, thanks for asking this question, because I think this is a very important point for everyone who is interested in showing their work, building in public. Like the way you just described, I would say is leaning towards content marketing, because you're trying so hard to think about your business or product to try to create some kind of content out of it. But showing your work, thanks for doing that, by the way. But showing your work is actually easier than that. It's supposed to be. Otherwise, it's too hard and you give up.
Okay.
And why do I say that? Like, Matthias, you can actually think about what you work on today, or you're actively thinking about. Like, for example, let's say today you're thinking about the pricing of your new product. Then when you want to show your work, you should just talk about that. You should ask people, hey, I designed these 2 tiers on my landing page. And I want to show you, and I want to tell you, do you understand the pricing tiers? So it is just about what you're working on right now. So giving a quick update is so much easier than what you just did, like digging into your product and find out what people want to know. Or I'll give you another example. So we went through the update, the product update. You can actually position it as more like a question. So for example, maybe you have this new 12 Q&A
12.
tool,
Yeah.
and maybe you're thinking, let me actually ask you, what is one thing you're currently trying to solve for this product?
Oh, what is it? What is one thing? It's totally
Anything.
It's totally technical at the moment. I'm trying to get a new JavaScript bundling system into place, because the old one fails, and I'm trying to get a new one. So this is totally difficult to explain.
But can you? Okay, this might be too technical. So I like that you're filtering it before asking. But let's imagine. I'm
thinking about less technical things, like, for example, the cold start problem. When you have such a platform where people can ask questions and other people give answers, at the beginning it's empty, so it's interesting for no one. People don't go there and don't ask questions because there's nobody there who answers them. And they're also the other way around. Nobody is going to listen to questions because there's nobody asking questions. So at the beginning, it's hard to start this up.
Okay, so this is very interesting. For example, today we asked people to ask questions before the event, and we got one question, right?
Right.
So in my mind, I would be thinking, what's the culture of asking question? Do people really come up with questions beforehand when they just see Kevon's picture, or do they come in like Maha or Jake in the audience? They're like listening to our conversations and then they come up with a question. So I'm wondering about how people come up with questions. Then I would ask that, because when I ask that, they give me all the feedback, and now I can put it into the product. So now you can see another way of, basically you don't need to dig into your product too much, but basically rely on what you're actively working on, not just today, but maybe like this week or last week, as long as it's recent enough. That's your content for showing your work.
Speaking about people having questions, maybe we should open a question round on Twitter Space,
let's do it.
Right? So I'm seeing at least 10 people on my screen here, and I really can invite you to raise your hand, and I'll give you the right as a speaker.
Let's do it. I see some familiar faces. Come on. I have it open in front of me because I want to feel like someone is listening to me. If I'm just on Zoom with you right now, I'm like, who am I talking to?
That's right. I see Manu. I see Pooja.
I see Pooja, giving us heart all the time. Yeah.
So I'll click on Pooja. Let's see. And invite to speak. Let's see what happens. It's my first space that I'm hosting, so bear with me if I make mistakes here.
But I see no requests so far.
Max has appeared. Pooja is jumping to the top.
Does Pooja actually have a question? I don't know.
Question. but I do have an answer because I did not know about this space beforehand. But I really enjoyed this discussion, Kevin. I think Kevon, I think it's the first time I'm listening to you talk, and Matthias, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but certain questions that you asked was as if speaking to me. So I felt a lot of things were already answered during the discussion. Is wherein a lot of questions popped up in my head, and I don't know if this is a relevant question, but I'm really new, and to this whole field of social media altogether.
Yeah.
2022 is the first time I've ever made a profile for myself. I've never had any account before that, and I get caught up in being coming across as, like somebody said, like not professional, and I don't want that. I don't want to be coming across as a professional, but I do struggle with other people thinking, and also of what do they think, and also when I'm building in public, how do I filter the feedback? What if
Uh-huh.
I keep getting so much input and then I can't probably create because I can't decide that this is good enough for me to start, if that makes any sense. And I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Pooja. That's a fantastic question. Oh, by the way, can you speak up a little bit? It was a little bit not
Oh,
loud enough, but
I wasn't audible. Should I repeat my
uh,
question?
that was slightly better.
Oh, okay. Um,
No, your question came through. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
So you were asking about the amount of feedback you get and the kind of feedback and what you should do with it, right?
Yes, exactly. And also, this is not a question, but if you could just let me know, because sometimes I can be sensitive to feedback.
Yeah.
If they say that, okay, this thing probably sucks, or this photo is bad, because I get all sorts of feedback, which I
Yeah.
ask my friends, which is not really related to my product, but that makes me say, oh, okay, people will actually see this too. And then that just makes me go on in a loop, and um, it just holds me back, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, feedback is a difficult thing. For me, one big difference is it solicited feedback or unsolicited? So, did I ask for it or did I not ask for it? Unsolicited is mostly questionable quality. But if I really asked for it and somebody is giving me feedback, it's most of the time it's good quality. It's actionable feedback. That's a main thing. Is the point actionable or is it or isn't it? If someone says this photo is bad, this says almost nothing. But if they say, I can hardly see the people on this photo, they are too small, I have a hard time reading this photo, yeah, this says more about it. So, in your case, if you have feedback where you can't do anything about it, or that keeps you from doing something, just ask for more actionable feedback. So, what would you like to change in this photo? Yeah, I want to have the person should be bigger, and so I could read it easier, and so on. So, make it actionable. What would you say, Kwan, about feedback?
Yeah. So there are two parts to this that I want to answer. The first one is how what's the right mindset to taking feedback? Because I used to run a kids coding school, so I deal with a lot of parents, and like parents give feedback, they give complaints all the time, right? So during those few years, I really trained up my mindset to be, oh my god, like these people who actually take time to give me feedback, these are the super VIPs within my circle because they care enough to spend time to do that. So I put them at a very high place. And that is a big reframing of how you look at feedback that really helped me. And then, second of all, like about filtering feedback, I actually tweeted about this 2 days ago. I think feedback is a blessing but a curse at the same time.
Yeah.
Why I say that is, as entrepreneur, you have to get a ton of feedback. So if you can get it from a public space like Twitter, it's actually amazing. Like there's no other way you can get so much feedback so quickly.
Yeah.
So that's the blessing. But the curse is exactly what Pooja you're asking. Like, how do you filter? I don't have a good answer for you that can make you like instantly getting rid of this fear. I don't have that. But what I have is you do need to train up your muscle to learn about this. My way of doing it is you need to identify who is your target audience. Like for me, it's creators. So if the feedback is coming from a creator, maybe in their early journey, and they're saying something like, I don't get what you're trying to say here, Kevon, then I would pay more attention to that because that's the exact right people that I'm serving. But if you're looking around and you're looking at maybe just some friends, maybe in the meditation space, running a 500 people company, giving you a feedback, I would be a bit not skeptical, but I would filter that feedback a bit more because they don't have the same context and they're not the people I serve. Then I would just kind of put it aside for a bit. So that's how I filter, by who is saying that feedback. Second of all, probably if you work around like product enough, you would know that you shouldn't solve something when only one person say it. So if you can use a Google Sheet or use your brain, doesn't matter. But you only do it when you see a pattern. Like the 3 creators in their early stage are saying, Kevon, you didn't explain this in your Building Public guide. Then I would pay attention. So it's a common pattern. So of course, everything I said is super hard. It takes practice. So I really don't have a good answer to you except
Thank you so
start getting feedback.
much.
Start getting feedback.
Well, and
Yeah.
Matthias, you did do compartmentalization and filtering. Who is this?
Yeah, cool. I saw Kuba has
Oops.
requested.
I'm sorry, I started talking without my mic being on.
Okay.
Kevon and Matthias.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Our pleasure here. That's why we're doing the space. Yeah, Kuba has also the right to speak. So I invite you to ask your question to Kwan.
Hi guys, can you hear me properly?
Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
Okay. Hi. I have a question because there's one thought that's on my mind lately. Because I've been talking to several building public guys or solopreneurs, and I've been wondering, do you have any like tried out systems, frameworks for a solopreneur to incorporate content marketing in their overall marketing strategy? Because as far as I know, the content marketing is the most the last thought about thing by solopreneurs, or they think it takes a lot of time, so they don't think they have the resources or time to invest into the content creation. Do you agree with this statement, or do you have any frameworks or systems that can help solopreneurs in creating good content?
I can take this one first, because I had a really painful experience, Kuba. Before becoming a full-time creator, I was running a SaaS company, and it was really tough because we invested in content from day one, but the problem was we didn't exactly know what problem we were solving. We were just kind of still experimenting. And guess what? After 3 months, after 6 months, each time we have to iterate or shift our focus a little bit, all the contents become irrelevant because we haven't figured it out yet. So my painful learning is that if you're a solopreneur in your super early days and you haven't really found the niche or the traction, don't focus on writing content for SEO and all that. Like it's too far. It's a long-term strategy. I would actually prioritize like talking to people one-on-one and really just building this tiny community around yourself that you stand for. I think you're a storyteller, Kuba. I'm looking at your profile right now. So you become this storytelling guy within this small community. And when you talk to them one-on-one, when you do the right thing, you start to get the same question over and over again. When you get at least 10, write a blog post about it, because the 11th person asking you, you can answer it a little bit, and then you can say, by the way, I wrote this blog post, send it to them. This is how you guarantee that your time doesn't go to waste in content marketing. So this is more content marketing, not showing your work. So that's my experience. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I don't have anything to add. Hope this is helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, cool answer. I always think about this showing your work, how it is applied to different contexts. So, Kuba, for example, if you were a storyteller, could you show your work, show how you're working more regularly, like once a day, saying, today I thought about this character in my story, about that character, or it happened this, or it happened that. Is that possible on your side?
When it comes to my system of working, I try to first think about the struggle. So the struggle is the basis always for my stories that I create about the customer groups I want to target, or the heroes I want to put into my stories.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I focus on is the struggle. It has to be relatable for other people. Then I create a hero based on this struggle, and I find the solution. I'm a bookworm. I read a lot, so I take a lot of inspiration through newsletters or books or podcasts, because I listen to several podcasts on marketing. So I try to stay curious about different like challenges or struggles that my target audience has, and then I have a Notion file, as probably all of us have. And I write down the things I noticed and the things I encountered, getting to know all of those people. I recently joined the indie hackers community. I think it's a goldmine of ideas or inspirations for content creation, especially for me as a SaaS storyteller. So my main system is to always stay curious about stuff and create content, not like thinking hard, what should I do now, what inspiration should I get from who, but rather I try to find topics based on real life problems the target audience expresses.
Interesting. So it would be possible to get some of your day's work visible or audible. Yeah, I don't know.
Can I add something to this?
Yeah, sure.
Because as we're talking, I'm looking at Kuba's profile, and I'm putting my instructor hat on. I always love to share with people. So I think Kuba, you can really make good use of showing your work, because your service is to help people turn their products into stories, right? So if yourself treat your business as your product and you're telling all these amazing stories, instantly people think you can do it for them as well. But when I scroll your latest 10 tweet, I don't really see a lot of storytelling of your own business. So I think there's a big opportunity for you to do more. Just a tiny suggestion there.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now I'm trying different content formats just because I joined Twitter last month.
Wow.
I'm still learning a lot. I still try to find the right option for me, content possibilities. So I really appreciate your feedback. Thank you very much. I will try to incorporate more personal storytelling of my personal storytelling into my Twitter activity. Right now I'm trying out different stuff.
No, you're doing well.
Yeah.
From what I see, with your personality, with the the way you handle relationship, I think you'll go really far. Like honestly, if it has only been a month.
Yeah. Yeah. I joined Twitter. I joined Twitter actually a few years ago, but I until like last month I was like doom scrolling, basically. So after 2 years, 2 or 3 years, I decided, okay, this is the time. I have something to say now, so I want to say it.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we have time for one more question from the Twitter space. So if somebody wants to speak up. Sorry. At the moment, I see no signs of requests. Maha is asking, so I asked that you. Yeah, you can speak now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
I only have one question about show your work, and I'm struggling about one thing. I used to be a journalist for 10 years, and now I want to be a freelance content writer, but I don't have any experience in that industry. So I thought about sharing what I read on posts and from content coming from other people, but I don't want to do this because I feel like it would not be as valuable as sharing my own insights. But I don't know how I can share my own insights based on the fact that I didn't work in that industry before.
So what kind of industry do you want to serve? What is the audience that you want to serve?
I want to help. I want to share what I learned to be a freelance content writer. And I just made that decision 2 weeks ago. So I'm learning, I'm trying to read and write and taking notes about what I'm learning about content writing.
Okay.
But I didn't work in that industry. I have some background on how to write and how to find a way to present information, but that's different from being a content writer.
So your audience would be other aspiring content writers. So you would be sharing about what
Maybe
your
any
experience is.
maybe anyone who wants to do content writing and didn't thought about that before coming up on my account. But I'm still starting this out.
Yeah, I can jump in here. Well, first of all, just want to say, good to see you, Maha. Maha is one of the people who helped me with my book.
Oh,
Like
wow.
she's amazing. Like her name is actually at the back of my book.
Cool.
I give credits to all my early beta readers. So Maha, I'm so glad you are making this new direction. First of all, I think I have one thing to say, which is, you might think that you have nothing to talk about right now because you don't have experience or you don't have an active project right now. But let me bring you back to end of 2020. Remember when I said I didn't have anything to talk about and I created my own build in public guide project. Once I create my own project, I can talk about it endlessly. Like every day I have like 5 things to say. So to you, I'm thinking, okay, you might have two groups of people you want to attract. One is, just like friends, people who are also content writers. And you also want to attract customers, right? So honestly, a lot of people can be your customer because creators like me, we might need help to write content. I don't. I write all my own content, but someone might want to hire someone, or like brands or startups. So I would suggest you to actually don't worry that you don't have experience, but hey, create a project. Say, grab a startup that you like. Maybe Loom. I love Loom. You can record video easily, grab them, and then pretend you're writing a piece of content for
Yeah,
them.
you do a
And-
case study.
And then you can really show your strength. Like, why are you good? Why are you a good content writer? You don't just write that piece of content, but you actually tweet about how to explain why am I using this heading? Why am I talking about this in this paragraph? And guess what? When you explain your thoughts through this project, the two groups of people, your friends and your customers, will just come watch you. Over time, you get your business going. So I think you just need to create your own project.
I love that. It's a good point.
Does that
Okay.
make sense? Does that help you?
Yeah. I thought about doing something like you said as a case study, but I was like, maybe I need more time to figure things out. But
No.
as you said,
Imposter syndrome.
I know.
Do
But
it.
thank
You
you,
do it.
thank you.
Yeah. Let me know if you need help. Ask me anything. Like, you help me, I want to help you back. So get rid of the imposter syndrome. Just do it.
I will do it
I'm here to
now
push.
now that everyone is listening to me. I don't have any choice.
Show us a case study next Thursday.
Yeah, 1 week.
Okay.
Cool.
We have a
Instructor
deal.
hat on again.
Okay, we have
Okay.
a deal. Okay, great.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. So I think we have to close up because I understood that Kwan, I think you have a next meeting at 4. Is that right? In 10
Yeah,
minutes?
so last week
Yeah.
I tweet about who wants to hang out, and I got 3 people to hang out with me. Oh, before we go, we should really get people to fill in the lucky draw survey.
Yes. So say the
So
URL
because I
again.
see like, so it's bit.ly, bit.ly / let me see, / what? Joy Draw, JOYDRAW.
Joy Draw. Yeah.
Okay,
Bit.ly.
2 people will get my book for free, and that's $30 worth. So do it. Okay, I'll repeat one more time. The link is bit.ly, bit.ly / joydraw, JOYDRAW.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, thanks, Kwan. It was a fantastic round. I'm so happy that so many people joined us, much more than last week. I'm planning to continue with this. I like that. I'm just thinking about whom I should invite next. And if you want, please go to my new question and answers platform called 12.it. So 12 should be a verb. You can 12 something by tweeting and solving it. That's the idea. Question and answer platform. So I hope many people will join there and post their questions, answer other people's questions, and we get on with this. So thank you again, all of you, for listening to us. And watch the stream on Twitch if you like, twitch.tv/BohlenLabs. That spells my name is Bohlen, my last name, BOHLEN, labs, like laboratories, right? So there's the Twitch stream, but I can tweet it once again, the URL. It's easier. So thanks to all of you for today, and Kwan especially. Thanks for joining from Hong Kong.
So
excited.
welcome. Yeah.
See you next time.
All right. See
Bye.
you all around. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.